The first time Olivia told me her secret, we were sitting on a park bench, watching the sunset. The sky was a swirl of oranges and purples, and I had just reached for her hand when she pulled away. "There's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice tight with hesitation. I braced myself. Here it comes. "I'm not looking for anything serious. It's not you, it's me." The typical words that crush a guy's hopes. But instead, she said, "I don't have a shadow." I blinked. "Excuse me?" Olivia sighed. "I don't cast a shadow, ever, no matter where I stand or how bright the light is." I chuckled. "That's impossible. The sun's literally right there." "Look," she said, standing up and stepping onto the pavement. The streetlights flickered on, casting long, dark silhouettes behind everyone walking by, except Olivia. She stood there, completely untouched by the light. I stared. My stomach knotted. "That's a good trick. How do you do it? Some kind of illusion? Special paint on your clothes?" She shook her head. "No tricks, no illusions. It's just the way I am. I don't know why, and I don't know what it means. But if you want to be with me, you have to accept it without asking too many questions." "That's a lot," I admitted. "But okay, I like you, Olivia. Your lack of a shadow isn't going to change that." She exhaled, relieved, and took my hand. Time passed, and we fell in love. Most days, I forgot about the missing shadow. But at night, when the lamps in our apartment cast soft golden glows, I'd catch myself glancing at the empty space behind her. The way she stood, as if the world refused to acknowledge her existence in full. She never spoke about it, and I never pushed. But curiosity is a hungry thing. One night, she came home late, exhausted. I was already in bed, but watched as she stepped into the bathroom and shut the door behind her. The light spilled out from under the door, and I saw something strange. A shadow. It flickered, twisting unnaturally, as if struggling to break free. It wasn't Olivia's. It was something else entirely. A cold dread crept into my chest. My mind raced. Had she been lying? Was she hiding something even worse than I had imagined? My hands clenched into fists. I had to know. I crept closer, pressing my ear against the door. A whispering sound drifted through, too soft to understand but filled with a deep, mournful sorrow. The kind of sound that makes your bones ache. I stepped back. My heart pounded in my throat. Then the door opened. Olivia stood there, her face pale, her eyes heavy with something like grief. "You looked, didn't you?" I swallowed. "What was that?" She turned away. "I told you not to ask. I need to know." For a long moment she was silent. Then finally she whispered, "It's my shadow. I do have one. But I lost control of it a long time ago. It doesn't belong to me anymore." My body went cold. "What does that mean?" She shook her head. "You don't want to know, and I can't tell you. If you love me, you'll let this go." I didn't sleep that night. I tried. I tried to ignore it, to pretend everything was normal. But once you've seen something like that, you can't unsee it. I became obsessed. I watched her when she wasn't looking, studied how she moved, how the light never clung to her the way it should. And then, one evening, when she was out, I did something I knew I shouldn't have. I searched her things. In the back of her closet, I found an old wooden box, locked tight. I pried it open with a knife and found stacks of photographs, pictures of Olivia at different ages, from childhood to adulthood. But in every picture, something was wrong. Sometimes it was just a blur in the background. Other times it was a full, dark figure standing behind her, its hand stretched toward her back. In the last photo, Olivia was standing in front of a mirror. But her reflection wasn't hers. It was the shadow, grinning where she should have been. The front door creaked. I turned. Olivia stood in the doorway, her face unreadable. "You looked," A deep, terrible feeling settled in my gut. Olivia. What is this? She stepped closer, and for the first time I noticed it. The tiniest flicker of darkness trailing at her feet. She smiled, but it wasn't warm. You should have listened. Now it's too late. The lights in the room dimmed, and the last thing I saw was the shadow creeping toward me, stretching long fingers across the floor.